Hey, Christian with My Awesome Detailer. I'm heading out to detail an RV now, and I just wanted to take this time to talk to you about how much does it cost to have an RV detailed. There's a whole lot of variables that are involved when pricing out the detail on an RV, and it's one of the biggest questions that I get whenever I get on the phone with somebody, whenever they send me an email. Maybe there's a cost or a comment on a Facebook post. Folks will ask, what do you charge for this? What's the going rate for this? I need to get an estimate for having my toy hauler detailed. That's always one of the very first questions is, I just wanted to call and find out how much you charge for X. And that's understandable. It makes a lot of sense because when you're buying something, the price, you always want to know the price before you buy so that you can kind of evaluate, okay, here's the value and what I'm getting, and here's what it costs. So that's what I'm going to break down for you today and just explain what it costs to have an RV detailed. So to begin with, the second biggest factor, no, I'll say the first biggest factor in having your RV detailed is what type of RV is it, right? There are so many different types. You have your Class A motorhomes, your fifth wheel, a pool behind, all these different types of pop-up camper. There's a million different types of them. So that's always the very first thing you have to establish is what kind of RV are we working on? And even amongst the different types of RVs, they can even have a whole lot of variation. So you can take two fifth wheels, they're in the same class of RV. Now one of them be 12 feet tall and the other one be 10 feet tall. Makes a big difference there. Along with just the type of RV you're detailing, it's very, very important, a lot of the variations that occur within the different RVs. So things like, how many slides does it have? How many awnings does it have? Things like that. It would seem as if that wouldn't play a big role, but it does. If you just think about how long would it take you to detail the sides, bottom, and top of one slide, right? And then multiply that by 3. And then maybe one has 5 slides, or 4 slides, or 2 slides. There's a lot of variation in that. Having the awning toppers on all the slides makes a big difference. Things like what surface, that's another big part of it. Once you've determined, okay, this is the type we're working on, what is the surface of this RV made of? There's a million types of those as well. There's fiberglass, vinyl, gel coat, corrugated aluminum, and even amongst those there can be a lot of variation. Like just the color alone can make a big difference in what it costs to detail it, especially if you're doing something like polishing it, removing oxidation, trying to bring a shine back to it. Some colors are harder to polish, harder to perfect than others are. The lighter colors tend to be easier in certain cases. Also, things like your decals. What kind of decals do you have? So if you have the stickers on there and we're doing some sort of polishing, those need to be taped off. You have to be avoided with a buffer. There's a little bit of extra work involved with those, especially if they're beginning to crack or fade, or they just paint it on there. If they're painted into the gel coat, well, then that's a whole other deal. You won't have to really take those off that much. You're not going to tear them off with a buffer. They're a whole part of the surface. And then, of course, another big factor, this is probably the third biggest factor in pricing out a detail, is what is the condition of the RV. So number 2 is what are we working on. Number 3 would be what condition is it in, right? So you can have your brand new ones, you can have one that's well kept, you can have one that was okay, they did all right, and then one that's very poorly maintained. There's usually the 4 categories that I see owners' RVs fall into, and that plays a huge role. So if you bring me a 2018 just came off the lot RV and you're looking to get it polished and sealed, not that hard. The roof's already immaculate. All we got to do is kind of get it dusted off, dress your units, give it a quick wash on the outside, and go around it and polish it and seal it. Not that big a deal. But let's say you wanted that same exact job on one that's maybe 5 or 6 years old, has a lot of oxidation on it, is going to require a lot of prep work to get it to the point where we can go ahead and start sealing it, go ahead and protect it. It has extra polishing steps, things like that. That plays a huge role. And the number one, and these two kind of play together, the number one determinant in the price of detailing your RV is, what are you having done? This is one of the first questions I always ask is, okay, so what kind of RV are we working on? Can you give me the footage, the type, the slide count, the awnings, what kind of condition is it in, yada yada yada, to lay the groundwork of, okay, here's what we're looking at, here's the project, here's the specimen, and then the next question will be, what are you looking to have done? What are your specific needs and interests? What's bothering you? What do you want to, improve? What do you want to protect? All those different kinds of questions play a significant role. So like I said, again, let's take two identical RVs. They're both brand new. They're both the exact same fifth wheel, same model, same slide count, same everything, right? And one of them needs to be ceramic coated, and one of them they just want to get a basic maintenance wash and wax package on it. Huge variation there. With the wash and wax, it's very standard. You're going to wash everything down from roof to wheels, put a light layer of wax around the camper, good to go. With the ceramic coating, you're going to have to wash everything top to bottom as good as you can get it. You have to do at least a one-step polish to get the surface smooth, clean, shiny, as close to perfect as you can get it, and then strip the whole thing down and then apply a ceramic coating in several layers. There's a lot of work that's involved, so the prices can go from $300 for a wash and wax all the way up to several thousands of dollars, depending on the prep work and all, to do a ceramic coating. So to answer the question of how much does it cost to have an RV detailed, the best answer is always, it depends. And that's really the truth of it. It does depend on all of the things that we just talked about, because there's a lot of variation in an RV, just like cars. Even most of the time, even more so, I would say, than the variation you'll see in cars or boats, because there's just so much that goes on with them, and every single year they're adding things, improving things, changing things. So you got to work around that. But it isn't hard to find out what it will cost for your specific RV to be detailed. Just get on the phone with a professional detailer, go over the things I just talked about. What type of RV is it? What condition is it in? What are you looking to have done? And any detailer worth his salt will quickly be able to assess what you're looking to have done, especially if they're seeing it in person, and give you an extraordinarily accurate quote, whether it be on the phone or in person to have it detailed. If you'd like to get a quote from me and find out what I would charge or what I would recommend, or just answer some questions for you, whatever the case may be, just give me a call at 334-377-0123. Of course, you can visit my website, myawesomedetailer.net. Check me out on Facebook. However it may be, come in contact with me. If you want to speak as quickly as possible, just give me a phone call, and I would be glad to help you out in understanding what it would cost to have your RV detailed. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want to get a quote from me or have me assess your RV, just give me a call at 334-377-0123. Hope you have a wonderful day. Look forward to talking to you soon.